Hello, Bob Van Rossum with MarketPro. Someone within the executive search industry, right? Someone like us at MarketPro just reached out to you, interrupted your day and said, hey, I've got this great opportunity for you. And you're interested, you're excited about the role. So you say, yeah, go ahead and throw my hat in the ring and let's see if this is the right fit for me. Those are the candidates we target, is top talent. And 9 times out of 10, those people are not looking for a new role when we call them. And we've introduced an opportunity and we've explained to them why this could be a great next step. And they turn around and are excited about it and want to pursue it, right? That's our process for executive search. So now, though, the trick becomes, how are you preparing for the interview to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success against other talented individuals? And as you get higher up, right, we work director through CMO. So, head of marketing, head of e-commerce, head of digital, head of product, head of brand, head of communications. The top marketing jobs, usually the CMO and the people that report to that individual, are what we do. And when you get to that level, you're competing against other talented people. It's much more difficult and much more competitive than if you're just going in for a brand manager role, right? So now, what are you going to do to separate yourself from everyone else? And what are you going to do to make sure that you're capable of putting your best foot forward? And this is really where we see some common mistakes. And there's 2 basic common mistakes. The first is not preparing at all or under preparing. And the reality is, you're busy, right? You've got a full-time job, you've got a family, you've got things going on outside of work, and now you're going to go in for this role which you weren't even thinking about before we called. How much time do you need to prepare is really a good question. But in reality, if you're not going to prepare, you might as well cancel and not go in, because you're wasting your time, you're wasting the hiring manager's time, you're wasting the executive search firm's time, and you should just skip it. Because no matter how good you are, someone will take time to prepare and they will put a better foot forward than you're capable of without any prep. And why is that, right? The reason that's true is every day you're focused on, what do you got to do tomorrow? What do you got to do next week, next month, next quarter, next year to be successful for the organization you're in and for the role that you're in? And that's not interviewing. Interviewing looks backwards. What have you done? What did you accomplish? And it may be all the way back to the beginning part of your career that you get questions on, depending on the interviewing methodology that they use, right? So most of which you've forgotten. So as someone who's looking forward, you have 5, 6 meaningful things you do every day, and all of them do you forget by the time you sit down to have dinner, because that's where you are looking forward. So that's the first common mistake, is people just don't prepare. The second thing that we see, and this doesn't work, right? This doesn't work even if you're a junior level person, but it certainly doesn't work if you're a senior level person. The second mistake is people go out to the internet and they do a Google search for what are the top 20, 25, 50 questions that someone asks in an interview. And then they write out responses to those questions and they try to memorize those responses or become overly familiar with those answers. And the challenge with that is a couple things. One is it's incredibly time consuming and incredibly boring. But 2 is you don't know what they're going to ask. And if it's a senior level role, they really shouldn't be asking, tell me what your strengths are or tell me what your weaknesses are, right? That is not a great interviewer at that point in time. So you don't have a crystal ball into the questions that they're going to ask. And that's going to be more wasted time than it is useful time. So our goal is to get you to be able to put your best foot forward in the most efficient amount of time possible. And so how do we do that? And there's really 2 things, right? Number 1 is what we call know thyself. And what does that mean? That means I want you to take the time to go through your resume, to go through your career. And when I say your career, I want you to go all the way back to college. And we will go all the way back to college because there's an interviewing methodology out there that will take people back that far as they go through your career. So start with, why did you choose the school that you did? What did you learn there? What were the valuable experiences that you took away from that institution that still impact how you make decisions today? I wouldn't spend a ton of time on that, but it's just something to think about. Then, as you dig into each step in your career, what were the challenges that you faced when you walked into the role? What were the goals of the organization, how it related to that position? What were some mistakes that you made? What did you learn from those mistakes, right? But really focus on where is it that you exceeded expectations? Where is it that you helped the organization win? Where is it that you exceeded goals, expectations, and drove ROI for the organization? And you want to write that out for every job that you had, right? All the way up to the current role that you're in. And now you have a story, right? You have a story of your career and the impact and the value that you've added, okay? And that's really important. And it's important to review that a couple times before you go in. It's important to add things to that as you're reviewing it. But overall, I would spend 4 to 5 hours going through that exercise, assuming that you're at director, VP, C-suite level. Second then is, how do I apply that to this role, right? How are you taking that and what you've learned about yourself, your background, your experience, and understanding what the goals and needs are of this role and understanding how you can add value specifically to this company, right? So where do you find that information? Pretty simply, it's probably in the job description, right? And it's also going to be on quarterly reports. It's also going to be on other things that are out there. But the main thing I'd look at is the job description. And so we'll just give an example. You're going in for a VP of demand gen. And so they want to increase leads. They want to decrease cost per lead. And overall, they want to drive an increased ROI based on marketing investment. And so now be able to tell very specifically how you've done that in the past. What were the challenges you faced when you tried to do that? What were the things that you learned along the way? And most importantly, how did you exceed expectations previously in your career relative to organizational goals around leads, cost per lead, and driving increased ROI, filling the sales funnel? And if you can do that, you can take your skills, your background, your experience, your wins, and translate that to how you're going to add value for this new organization, add value and help them grow from a business perspective, and cite specific examples in your past that align with their goals. Now you're going to separate yourself from others in the interviewing process. And if you go through all that and you're still not able to get the role, it probably wasn't the role for you. But if you don't take the time to do all that and you miss out on the opportunity, it might have been your opportunity. You just went into the interview unprepared.